perceiving now 4 consents of centering prayer and 4 fruits of centering prayer. Just for the sake of enlarging on the experience and perhaps eliciting or stimulating further reflection on your own part in the silence of your reflection and prayer at some other time. So the first consent is to solitude. Or, putting it another way, the letting go of the external senses. And the external senses, as you know, are taste, touch, sound, sight, and smell. And any feelings that might be accompany these external senses. So in sitting down and preparing oneself for the prayer, this is one of the things we need to keep in mind. This is not the time for reflection, plans for tomorrow, or commentaries on what has happened, not only today in our life, but any day in our life. So it's undermining the entrenched habit of thinking about something, and at least reflecting on how we like or how we're experiencing the prayer, and an inveterate tendency to pass judgment on whether we're having a good time or not. All of these reflections are part of the rational level of consciousness, which we're deliberately not rejecting, but moving beyond or transcending in this period of rest. To put it in a scriptural context, Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are heavily burdened, and I will give you rest." And one of the areas that consists of rest, and as we know from psychology, is perhaps more fatiguing than a whole day's work at hard manual labor, is the pain, labor of dealing with thoughts over which we seem to have no control. They keep coming back, and we keep laying them aside, letting them go. We keep introducing one of our sacred symbols, which let us choose for this discussion, the sacred word. So the sacred word has no special meaning in itself, though it can be conducive to recollection if it corresponds to our devotional life. But we should be careful that it doesn't elicit an association of ideas that can go on and on and on. But usually after doing it a while, the sacred word simply becomes a gesture, and one isn't thinking about it anyway. But it's usually a word, as you know, of 1 or 2 syllables that could be a name for God. And so the first movement then is a deliberate movement into solitude insofar as it's possible and it's available, especially for beginners, because an external situation that's calm and quiet and respectful, like a church or a closet, it's a little stuffy maybe, or at least a private room, or a chair, if you use a chair that's reasonably comfortable. But it's calming down, and this means that, especially for those who are beginning, by which I mean the first couple of years or so, you may want to relax in some specific way before sitting down. Like if you're a little nerved up or under stress, it could be useful to do a little deep breathing. Some people do a couple of yogas. I would suggest that any extended yoga be done at a different time, so that one is not delayed in entering into this practice. But I don't think we should lay down for anybody an absolute rule, but just suggest that it normally works better if people take 2 or 3 minutes to calm down in some way, which might be taking a cup of tea. It could be taking a walk around the block. But you find out with time what works and what doesn't. And so whatever moves towards simplicity is to be encouraged. And most people find that with practice and the beginning of the sanding down, you might say, of the cutting edge of the intensity of particular thoughts, commentaries, biases, or grumpy states of mind, bored states of mind. So by thoughts we mean, and this is important, any perception at all is not to be pursued at this time. General principle. So solitude then is moving into an external space and an internal determination to let go of the usual contents of any place, whether within us or outside of us. So it's an emptying then of our ordinary way of thinking and doing things. And it obviously is going to be based on the level of our relationship with the higher power. If one has no particular relationship with God based on the culture in which one has been raised. This prayer originated, of course, in the earliest, you might say, Christian tradition, and has developed both East and West in the monastic communities of the 3rd and 4th century and beyond. So it's normal that the Christians have some relationship to the presence of Christ, either not a picture, not an image, but simply awareness that Christ is always close and present to us.